You've probably heard of all kinds of engineering: civil, mechanical, computer, biomedical, and at its core, engineering is just solving problems. Different industries have different problems, so we need different kinds of engineers to solve them. The jobs you can do after your degree also get specific. Civil engineers, for example, might focus on highways, bridges, buildings. Honestly, the best way to see where your degree could take you is by looking people up on LinkedIn. Engineering does have very clear and traditional paths, but more and more people are using their degree in a less conventional ways too. So there are a lot of career paths an engineering degree can take you after graduation. University is where you meet all kinds of people, and everyone's still just trying to figure themselves out. So you'll find that people change a lot during university, and honestly, even after graduation. There are a few specific kinds of people that I found in engineering. There was like a handful of people who wrote about looking at stars in their personal statements, who liked putting things apart and then back together, or people who were obsessed with something oddly specific. I've heard about people who do engineering to get rich, but I don't think this is a UK thing because the salaries just aren't high enough. In civil engineering, there was a lot of guys who specifically played rugby and wanted to be on site and not tied to a desk. And then there's the biggest group, which is people like me who were just good at math in school, so naturally ended up in engineering. I think the biggest shock moving from school to university was how you actually learn. At school, you're sort of spoon fed information to be tested on, and in university, you find credible sources, analyze them, and apply them yourself. And this shift happens gradually over the course of your 3 years of undergrad at the UK, as opposed to a standard 4 years of university. And because it's just 3 years, I've heard some UK degrees aren't recognized globally, which is why it's quite important for your degree to be accredited by a UK professional body that is globally recognized. I think I expected civil engineering to get repetitive, so once you have enough knowledge and experience, the projects will start to feel the same. But it turned out to be a lot more creative than I thought, not in the traditional artsy sense, but creative in the sense that every project is different with its environment, client needs, budget. Since you can't exactly mass produce these solutions, you end up problem solving in new ways every single time. And university is probably the first time you have control over your own routine. So you're suddenly cooking, cleaning, budgeting, maybe even skipping classes and staying up late. It's like a trial run at being an adult, but with the safety net of still being a student. I also think it's like the last time it's socially acceptable for you to mess up and then figure out a routine that works for you, one that your future self will thank you for. Since most UK degrees are 3 years, you choose the course before applying. So all your classes are directly related to that subject and your timetable is set for you. And this is usually around 10 to 12 contact hours a week. It seems low. I'm pretty sure there's a fine print in the program specification where it says you're expected to do independent study, which brings the total to up to around 40 hours a week. Between lectures, coursework, independent study, part-time jobs, and being social, your week fills up, and how much free time you actually have depends on how well you balance it all. So at UK universities, you don't get a lot of little quizzes and assessments sprinkled throughout the year. Instead, you usually have 2 or 3 big assessments per module, so each grade counts more. It's better to be consistent with them instead of expecting that one really good grade can make up for a really bad one. In engineering, at least at my university, the assessments were roughly split between exams and coursework. Some modules were more heavy. exam heavy, some were more coursework heavy, but each year counts differently towards your final grade. So in my MNG degree, first year was 10%, second year went 20, third year 30, and then the master's year was 40%. Later years really matter more. So we used a lot of software, which include Revit, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, MATLAB, ANSYS, Flood Modeler, Master Series, Word, Excel, and a few others I probably forgot. I thought I'd have more practice with AutoCAD, for example, since it's so widely used, but that wasn't really the case at university. But it sort of makes sense now because different companies use different tools. So university is focusing on giving you a foundation in engineering knowledge so you can use any software, and then introducing you to a wide range of software so that no matter what field or company you end up in, you've already learned how to pick up new software very quickly. So if your goal is to land a job with your degree, you're going to quickly realize that a first class alone isn't enough, let alone a degree. That's where the placements and internships come in. Placements and internships are basically the same thing, except in the UK, they are often part of your degree. It's a full year between your second and third year, while summer placements are similar but shorter. And during university, I got involved with like Civil Engineering Society, ICE, and student ambassador roles, all of which gave me things to put on my CV. And networking through events held at university often works better than just nationwide grad scheme application systems. And by the time you're applying, your CV is a lot stronger and people feel like they remember your name from somewhere. So work experience starts at university.